The 10 most important women in the Bible. In this video, we will focus on the notable women who played pivotal roles in the biblical accounts. Through their stories, we will explore their courage, wisdom, perseverance, and faith, and how their actions have influenced biblical events and teachings. Number 10. Miriam. Miriam is a prominent figure in the Bible, known for being the older sister of Moses and Aaron. Her story is told mainly in the books of Exodus and Numbers. Miriam was born in Egypt during the time when the Israelites were slaves. From a very young age, Miriam demonstrated musical and prophetic abilities. She and her siblings played a crucial role in freeing the Israelites from Egyptian slavery. When Moses was rescued from the waters of the Nile, Miriam watched from the shore and then suggested to the Egyptian princess that she find a Hebrew nurse for the baby, allowing her mother to raise him. After the liberation of the Israelites, Miriam led the women in a dance of celebration and praise to God after the crossing of the Red Sea. She drummed and sang, and her inspiring leadership brought a sense of joy and gratitude. However, later in the story, Miriam faced the consequences of speaking out against Moses along with Aaron. They criticized her leadership and questioned her authority. As a result, Miriam was stricken with a skin disease, but after Moses interceded with God on her behalf, she was healed. Number 9. Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is a biblical figure who stands out for her close relationship with Jesus of Nazareth. Her story has been the subject of interpretations and debates throughout the centuries, and her role in the Gospels has been the subject of speculation and veneration. According to the Gospels, Mary Magdalene was a woman who lived in the Galilee region and who had been freed from 7 demons by Jesus. She became a close and faithful follower of the Messiah, accompanying him during his ministry and being present at key moments in his life. Mary Magdalene witnessed the crucifixion of Jesus, being present with other women at that painful moment. Furthermore, she was one of the first people to see the empty tomb and to meet the risen Jesus. According to the biblical account, Jesus appeared to her and sent her to announce her resurrection to her disciples. Throughout the centuries, Mary Magdalene has been the subject of various interpretations. In Western Christian tradition, she has often been associated with a repentant companion figure, although this identification is not supported by biblical texts. However, in more recent times, many scholars have championed a more positive image of her as a leading follower of Jesus and one of the first witnesses to his resurrection. Number 8. Deborah. Deborah is an important figure in the Bible, specifically in the book of Judges. She was a prophetess and judge in Israel during a time when the people were oppressed by the Canaanites. Deborah stood out for her leadership and wisdom. As a prophetess, Deborah received messages from God and transmitted them to the people. Her authority and her prophetic gifts gave her significant influence over the Israelite people. In addition, she exercised the role of a judge, resolving disputes and promoting justice among the Israelites. At a critical moment, she called Deborah a military leader named Barak and urged him to assemble an army to face the Canaanites. Barak was unsure and asked Deborah to join him in battle. She agreed, but she also prophesied that victory over the Canaanites would be given to a woman instead of Barak. Together, they led the Israelite army to a stunning victory. Deborah's singing is another notable aspect of her story. After the victory over the Canaanites, she composed a hymn in which she praised God and celebrated the bravery and courage of the Israelites in battle. Number 7. Esther. Esther is a prominent figure in the Bible and is known for her courage and wisdom. Her story is found in the book of Esther, in the Old Testament. Esther was a Jewish girl who lived in Persia during the reign of King Ahasuerus. Esther's story begins when King Ahasuerus removes his queen, Vashti, and seeks a new wife. Esther, along with many other women, is taken to the palace to be considered as a possible queen. With her beauty and charm, Esther attracts the attention of the king, who chooses her as his new queen. Throughout the story, Esther faces a great challenge. Haman, a high official of the king, plans to exterminate all the Jews in the kingdom. Esther discovers this plan and, despite the danger, decides to intervene to save the town from her. She shows courage by approaching the king uninvited, which was a grave offense. However, the king agrees to see and listen to her. Esther throws a banquet and, at the right time, reveals Haman's malicious plan to the king. The king is furious and orders Haman to be punished. In addition, the king allows the Jews to defend themselves and face their enemies. The Jews are victorious and are saved from extermination. Number 6. Ruth. Ruth is a biblical woman who stands out for her loyalty, faith, and filial love. Her story is found in the book of Ruth in the Old Testament of the Bible. Ruth was a Moabite woman who married an Israelite man named Mahlon. After the death of her husband, her mother-in-law, and her brother-in-law, Ruth decides to accompany her mother-in-law, Naomi, back to Bethlehem, the land of the Israelites. In Bethlehem, Ruth shows deep devotion and loyalty to Naomi. Determined to take care of her mother-in-law, Ruth dedicates herself to gathering grain in the fields of a man named Boaz, who turns out to be a close relative of Naomi's. Boaz is impressed by Ruth's kindness and diligence and eventually becomes her redeemer. Ruth and Boaz get married and have a son named Obed, who later becomes the grandfather of King David, one of the most important figures in Israel's history. Ruth's story is an example of divine providence and how faithfulness and obedience can lead to unexpected blessings. Number 5. Rachel. Rachel is a prominent figure in the Bible, known for being the beloved wife of the patriarch Jacob and the mother of Joseph and Benjamin. Her story is found primarily in the book of Genesis. Rachel was the daughter of Laban, sister of Leah, and is described as a beautiful woman. Jacob, who worked for Laban for several years to earn the right to marry Rachel, fell deeply in love with her early on. However, Laban deceived Jacob and gave him his eldest daughter, Leah, as his wife instead of Rachel. Although Jacob eventually married Rachel as well, this created tension and rivalry between the two sisters. Despite the challenges and competition between Jacob's wives, Rachel proved to be a loving mother and fervently wanted children. For many years, Rachel was barren while her sister Leah gave birth to several children. Finally, God heard Rachel's prayers and granted her the gift of motherhood. She gave birth to her first son, Joseph, and then to her second son, Benjamin. But unfortunately, she died giving birth to Benjamin. Number 4. Rebecca. Rebecca is a biblical character that appears in the book of Genesis. She is known for being the wife of Isaac and the mother of the twins Esau and Jacob. Her story unfolds in the context of Abraham's family narrative. Rebecca was the daughter of Bethuel and granddaughter of Nahor, Abraham's brother. According to the Bible, when Abraham's servant Eliezer was sent to find a wife for Isaac, he met Rebecca at a well. Struck by her beauty and her helpful attitude, Eliezer asked her to give him a drink, and she kindly agreed. After Eliezer revealed his purpose, Rebecca agreed to marry Isaac and went to Canaan to become his wife. Her marriage to Isaac was arranged by God, and her love is said to have been true and lasting. Rebecca also played an important role in her family history by helping her son Jacob obtain the birthright blessing. Isaac, who was blind at the time, wanted to bless Esau, the older brother, but Rebecca, aware that God had promised that Jacob would be the chosen one, helped Jacob trick Isaac and receive the blessing instead. However, despite her participation in this deception, Rebekah also suffered the consequences of his actions. Esau, feeling betrayed, planned to kill Jacob, forcing Rebekah to send Jacob away to protect him. Number 3. Sarah. Sarah is an important figure in the Bible and stands out as the wife of Abraham, who is considered the founding father of the Jewish people. Her story is found in the book of Genesis. Sarah was born in Ur of the Chaldeans and married Abraham when they were both quite young. Together, they embarked on a journey in obedience to God's call to a promised land. During her life, Sarah faced numerous trials and challenges. One of the most notable aspects of Sarah's story is her struggle with infertility. Although she longed to have children, she spent many years without being able to conceive. However, God finally fulfilled her promise and Sarah gave birth to her son Isaac in her old age. Sarah also demonstrated great faith in God and supported Abraham on his pilgrimage. She witnessed the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and lived in different places, including Egypt. Number 2. Eve. Eve is an important figure in the Bible, known as the first woman and the companion of Adam. Her story is found in the book of Genesis, where the creation of the world and the fall of man are recounted. According to the biblical account, God created Eve from one of Adam's ribs, so that she would be his companion and his helpmate. They both lived in the Garden of Eden, an earthly paradise where they had everything they needed. However, God forbade them to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Eve was tempted by the serpent, symbolizing Satan, to eat the forbidden fruit. Despite God's warnings, Eve gave in to temptation and ate the fruit. Then she offered it to Adam and he ate it too. This act of disobedience is known as original sin and marked the fall of man and the entry of sin into the world. As a consequence of their disobedience, both Eve and Adam were expelled from the Garden of Eden and suffered various curses, including pain in childbirth for Eve and hard labor for Adam. However, despite her role in the fall of humanity, Eve is also seen as the mother of all humanity and an important figure in the story of redemption. Number 1. Mary, mother of Jesus. Mary, mother of Jesus, is a pivotal figure in the Bible and the most important woman in Christian history. She was born in Nazareth and was a young Jewish woman engaged to Joseph when she was visited by the angel Gabriel, who announced that she would be the mother of the Son of God. Mary showed great faith and acceptance by responding to the divine message with humility, saying, "Let it be done to me according to your word." Although she was a virgin, she miraculously conceived Jesus by the Holy Spirit. Mary shared her amazing experience with Joseph and together they became the earthly parents of Jesus. During the pregnancy, Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem due to a census ordered by the Roman emperor. It was in Bethlehem that Mary gave birth to Jesus in a stable, since they could not find a place in any inn. Shepherds and wise men from the east, guided by a star, visited the newborn and worshipped him. Throughout the life of Jesus, Mary was a constant and faithful presence. She was present at key moments, such as when Jesus performed his first miracle at the wedding at Cana, turning water into wine. She was also at the foot of the cross during the crucifixion of Jesus, sharing its pain and suffering. After the resurrection of Jesus, Mary continued to be part of the early Christian community. Her role in the history of Christianity is highlighted by her testimony of faith, her role as the mother of Jesus, and her willingness to obey God's will.